Hi, everyone. Welcome to Authenticity with Alicia, the podcast where we explore burnout, the pressures of society, and our quest for identity and authenticity. I'm Alicia, and today we're joined by mom, wife, and business owner based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I just moved to recently, who it's all about helping other people organize and clean their spaces. So thank you, Nikita Edwards, for joining today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was so excited when you filled out the forms because I geek out over organizing. Like this is probably one of my most favorite talks I had to like prepare for and like looking at your website and all the things. So has this been something that you've always like been natural and enjoyed doing, organizing people's spaces or even like your own spaces?
Yes. Yep,
Oh, I love it.
absolutely. I started out when I was young, my mom actually owned a cleaning business, so I used to go to work with her and clean her
Uh,
clients' houses with her. So yeah, cleaning has definitely been something I've always been, but organizing, I just have that kind of brain. So yeah, as far as where to put things and like
uh,
how to pack a house or where things, I just know where everything goes. Like in my brain, it just comes naturally to just say, hey, this is where this is gonna go.
I love it.
So
No, that's how my brain is. And like I use it to like when I'm stressed, I'm like, I need to go organize a drawer or something. Like I need to like
yeah,
organize some things and just make things make sense so my brain doesn't.
yes,
And I know like not everyone's brain is like that, and that's totally fine. And like I love that there's people whose brains are like yours, where you're like, this comes natural. I got this.
yeah.
If you're struggling with this, I got you. Oh, that's so fun. So, this has come natural to you. So I know you do like you've evolved from cleaning to helping organize. And when I was looking
Mhm.
at your website, you use this term functional environment. And
Yes.
that word, I'm a big language person. So like that word really stood out to me. And I'm curious, like, what does that mean for you, the term functional environment?
So functional can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people, and what can be functional for me could absolutely not be functional for someone else. Everybody kind of lives their own life, their own jobs, kids, their own routines, and stuff like that. So, really, it's about going in and meeting the client and kind of getting to know like their lifestyle and what they do with their kids. Like, for example, maybe some parents are sports parents and they have a lot of equipment, like that
Yes.
kind of stuff might have to be more accessible, or maybe they have a lot of things they need stored in a certain area, like a garage, and they own like a lawn care business or whatever it might be. Like everyone has to function differently, right?
Right.
Because we're always doing different stuff during the day. And so it can mean a lot of different things, but functionality for me is me wanting to promote like moving through easily, feeling
Mm.
calm in your space,
Hmm.
being able to have the ability to get to things quickly and efficiently in your home.
Yeah.
So whether it's your kids getting dressed in the morning or whether it's like getting lunches made. I work for a lot of parents, so I think kids first, and plus me having like a younger child and I have a teenager as well. I'm
Yeah.
always trying to like function for that aspect of my life. So
Hmm.
it can really mean a lot depending on the situation. But yeah, just being able to like access the things you need on a daily basis and get into your house where you need to go and without tripping over things, maybe
Yeah.
without feeling frustrated. And a lot of times, I think of like mental um clutter. If you have a
Mm.
lot of things maybe piled up in a corner and it bothers you when you sit in your living room to relax and you look at this pile over there and you're continuing to like look at that and stress about it, that's not functioning for you. Okay. So it
Yes.
can just be so many different things. It can even just be the fact that you don't like looking at something,
Mm.
but you maybe don't have time to get to it, or you don't really have
Hmm.
any space to put it, or whatever it might be. But yeah, so functionality can just mean so many different things. But yeah, I think it's just about being able to be comfortable in your home. Your home is a space where you and your family need to have dinner, you need to have
Yeah.
family events and maybe like game nights, or be able to relax in your home, get showers done, get lunches made, all those things. So it
Yeah.
can really be a lot of things. So
I love that because I know like a lot of my clients struggle with organizing and maintenance of
mhm,
homes. And a lot of
yes.
times, there's pressure, whether it's, internalized or just like who knows where it's coming from, of it needing
Mhm.
to look perfect. And so the
Uh-huh.
emphasis comes on like, well, I need it to look like the cover of a magazine, or, it needs to
Yeah.
be like spotless and look a certain way. And it's like, well, for some people that makes sense, but for other people, it needs to function. Like it's hard
Yes.
to maintain a lot of these, quote unquote, perfect houses if it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense for your family. And I don't hear like that's what you're putting the focus on. It's how can we take the mental load off? How can we make things
Yeah.
easier for you, quicker for you, so that you can spend more time enjoying your family and your home?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like going along with what you just said, it kind of, so I was organizing a pantry recently for a client, and it's not something that I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna pick new spots for all your stuff and make it look really nice. I'm gonna ask you like, what stuff do you use all the time? Do you use these protein powders?
Mhm.
Do you use these on a daily? Some people might say, not really. We make smoothies like once a month. Okay, so
Mhm.
those might go in an area where I'm not
Yes.
gonna put like your snack foods that your kids need to reach, or maybe you guys make dinner every night as a family, so dinner items are a priority to be closer to or more accessible to
Yeah.
everyone in the family. So if younger kids are helping in that task, maybe we're going to have that stuff a little bit lower where they
Mhm.
can help and access. And that's something that you guys appreciate, everybody being able to like be on task and kind of participate in those things. So it really does kind of break down too to where you need things too. I'm not just going to go in someone's kitchen and put things where I think they should go. I'm going to suggest where I think they should go, but I'm
Mhm.
also going to ask somebody, hey, like, do you use this, or what's important to you? What do
Mm.
you grab for? What are your kids using? Like,
Mhm.
whatever it might be. So, yeah, I think it's important it doesn't have to be perfect, like you said, but it does need to function. And I will say, just so I don't forget, um, I think a lot of people think that everyone's homes are perfect. And I think we go on Facebook and TikTok and
Mhm.
Instagram and Pinterest and we see
Oh.
really aesthetic places and homes and stuff. And it's true. There are houses like that. They are
Mhm.
all over. I clean for people like that. I organize for people like that.
Mhm.
But if you're sitting at home and you're watching this and you're thinking your house is totally normal. So
Mhm.
many people don't have it together and they have stuff everywhere. They don't know where to put things and they have maybe too much stuff, or they want to declutter and they don't know where to start. A lot of people, the majority of families are living like this because we're in this like hustle and bustle, like grind, grind, grind. And everybody's so busy and kids are in sports and there's activities, there's not enough
Mhm.
time in the day. So I do want to just make the people feel heard, and like the parents out there and families that think like, gosh, is the paint ever going to match the furniture? Are we ever
Mhm.
going to get the night tables to match the dresser? Maybe, but not everyone has that, and the majority of people that I help don't. And
Right.
they're not living like an aesthetic life, and it's okay.
Preach.
And it's just, I mean, it's nice to have those things, and if that's what you want, great, but
Mhm.
it's normal to not have them too. And a lot of people are living like that and need services and need help.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And also, oh my gosh, no, I could go on a whole TED talk on that. I loved like
Yeah.
how you go about that. Cause I like instantly when you're like talking about the pantry even, I was like, I know I've been guilty of like Pinteresting, pantry organization, but it
Sure.
doesn't always work for me, right? And so it's like you really give them this tailored, individual, not cookie cutter approach, but also
Hmm.
just like giving people permission of like, it's okay to live in our houses. Like
Yes.
it doesn't have to look perfect. And also that organizing it isn't necessarily about a certain aesthetic or
Uh,
impressing someone, but it's about working for us, making our lives easier, more
yeah,
enjoyable, and not,
absolutely.
oh my gosh, there's a million things I have to do. And then we internalize it and then we feel shameful and like a bad
Hmm.
parent or a bad homeowner. And then like that's not a helpful space to be in either.
Yeah. I think it's quite off-putting to me sometimes to know that a lot of the magazines and websites and social media promote a lot of that and put that
Yeah.
out there a lot. I think it makes people feel inadequate a lot, and it makes them feel the constant need to be improving, and it's not a good state to have your mind in. And mental health and organizing and cleaning go like hand in hand,
Oh
because
yeah.
like the things of course that we're bringing into our homes too should be intentional, and a lot of
Mhm.
times I feel like we're I see it a lot. I don't want to say we, but I think we all do. We see like the TikToks where like they're like going to Target and they have their iced coffee and they have their outfits on and they're buying all this stuff without like really and like, oh haha, like I'm gonna get this today and like I spent all this money and I'm gonna go try to put this somewhere.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's not realistic and it's like a dopamine hit for a minute, but then we
Mhm.
kind of sit down and we're like, wow, like now I don't have that $200 or now I have to like figure out where to put this and now I have another
Yes.
drawer to fill. And I really think it just like feeds into this like circle where we can't like get out of. And it's like this
Yes.
consumption that we're stuck in. So it kind of makes me upset sometimes to think about those things because I'm like, I really wish it wasn't like that. But
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
think you're spot on. I think you're so right too of like how it fuels into each other then, right? So
yeah,
it's like we're already probably overwhelmed with the stuff that we already have.
uh-huh,
I know I'm guilty of having like my to-do piles over here. And then I'm like,
sure.
then we buy
Hmm.
more things because we want that
Yeah.
instant gratification. And it's just like this never-ending cycle where we just get more overwhelmed, less intentional, and it's not a win-win situation.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that in my prep for this is I believe you've mentioned that you are in your family are on a journey to minimalism. And as you were
Yep.
talking about being intentional about, the things that we bring into our home, that kind of made me think about, yeah, like tell me more about that. So what sparked that decision for you to maybe move towards a more minimalism approach?
So it was the pressure. It was a lot of pressure. We moved here from the hills, me and my husband and my kids, and where we were living, I feel like we were starting to get caught up. I mean, we were. I shouldn't say I feel like we were because we were. We were really starting to get caught up because we have friends out there that have started businesses or are like very successful and they're moving along financially. And maybe we're not like right where they're at, but like that pressure to kind of, I want to say keeping up with the Joneses, but almost like trying to be at a level where we can keep up with our friends. Like these
Mm-hmm.
are our people that we love and care about and want to be around. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, like we kind of have to do these things with them because this is what they do because they're
Right.
doing all these other things and their
Mm-hmm.
finances are better or whatever it might be. Excuse me, it might be. But yeah, I think it was just like so much pressure. Um of trying to keep up and it was putting us into like debt or we were going over the budget just so that we could like keep up with people and have those relationships even though they probably didn't care if we were like, hey, can we not do this tonight, can we
Right.
stay in and do, they would have totally
But in
but
that
yeah, I think it
moment,
was
it
just like
feels so much like, oh my gosh, I want to,
yes,
fit in and belong and enjoy
oh
these
yeah,
things. And so it's easy to like
yeah.
get caught up in those.
Oh, for sure. And then of course, we moved a lot. Like my husband and I moved probably like 9 times in a decade.
Oh,
We
wow.
would like rent an apartment and then we would be like, we'll get this place and like, oh, this place just came open. I don't know. It was very chaotic for like a decade.
Yeah.
We bought a house, we lived in it for 3 years, we sold it, we wanted to get a different house, but then we didn't end up finding a house we liked, so we were renting for a while. Well, we're still not finding another house that we really like where we want it in the community. So then we found a bigger house to rent because we wanted to get out of this apartment. It was just constant like moving around. So like all
Yeah.
the stuff, packing the stuff, and then
Hmm.
having a storage unit and going to the storage unit and then going back to the rental. And I mean, it got to the point where like it was so hard to keep up with. So we started kind of getting rid of stuff. I was like, we
Yeah.
got to get rid of stuff because this is crazy. Like, keep packing this stuff and moving it. And then you move to a new place, and guess what? Your dresser don't fit in the new place. So now I
Hmm.
gotta go get a different dresser. So then we're selling a piece of furniture we paid X amount for at
Yeah.
a way lower amount, and then putting more money into getting something that fits in the new space. So it just was like
That's
this
exhausting.
bonkers. It was crazy. So when we moved to Sioux Falls, we've been here in April, it was 3 years. We like offloaded a lot of our stuff. And we've been
Yeah.
kind of minimalizing before that, but the last 3 years, a lot. And just really trying to like get a handle on like, do we need to get that? Like, do we need to get
Mm-hmm.
something for the space? Like, do we really need to fill the walls with wall decor? Probably not.
Hmm.
So we kind of went like pulled back and
Yeah.
um, we started just really trying to figure out like what kind of stuff we wanted in our house and like is the stuff that's in our house even getting us to like a goal that we want?
Hmm.
Not really.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if I've read articles before, and I don't know of the exact numbers, but I want to say it's like 85% of like the clothes we own, we don't even wear. So like just
Mm,
those types of things and learning that like people with bigger houses only use like such a percentage of them on a daily basis, just learning and just kind
mhm,
of researching facts like that. And then of course with my cleaning, I'm going
mhm,
into homes that are cluttered or where people are doing the same things that we were doing and I'm thinking,
mhm.
"Oh my gosh, like I have to wake up, you know? Like I gotta get a handle on this." So yeah, I think it really just started with all that and just kind of it just
Yeah.
was like a vicious circle,
Yeah.
but pressure, really just like a lot of pressure. And now with kind of being more minimal and
Mhm,
intentional with things that we bring in or things that we want to do in our home,
mhm,
um, I just want to be at peace in my home. I want my kids to feel secure and clean and like they can have friends over and like
mm,
I'm not sitting on my couch at night staring at piles of things that stress me out. I don't want them in the morning, having so many things in their bedroom or on the walls or
mm,
so many, that they're getting overwhelmed.
mhm,
I want to be able to tell my 9-year-old, can you go clean up your bedroom? And she can do it on her own in 20
mhm.
minutes because, I've shown her this is why we don't have this much stuff, or like this is why this
Yeah.
goes here, because see how you can get this put away or
Mm,
whatever it might be. So I think it just really overall just brings more peace to our family too.
yeah.
And
No, for
then I'm
sure.
not buying a bunch of stuff. I still like to shop. I still like decorations and fall blankets and stuff, but
Yes.
I just don't have like to fill up every
Mm,
space with it. I don't
yeah.
have to have it plastered all over. I just have to make smaller decisions.
Yeah.
So,
No, I definitely hear the
yeah.
intention and just like mindfulness that you have with it. And I love how you're even like, if someone chooses to go towards a declutter or minimalist approach, it doesn't have to be like black or white, all or nothing, where it's like you
Hmm.
can't have any personality in your house. It's like, no, if you want to like go get some fall decor here or there, like that's okay. Does it bring you joy? But it's just being more intentional about it rather than maybe like more
For sure.
mindlessly or passively just
Hmm.
being like, oh, add to cart. And then it's like, oh, what do I do with this stuff? I don't even like, you could get home and it's like, I don't even like this. So I
Yeah.
love that approach. And it sounds like it's been really like helpful for you and your family and just, yeah, peace. I think that's something that a lot of people can resonate with. And because life is stressful, life is chaotic,
Yeah.
and like our homes can be this space where it's like, we don't want that to add to that mental load.
Yeah. Well, and a lot too. I think we forget that we have to store all this stuff. And so then you have like a tub, and I'm sure we've all done this where we've gotten the tubs out. I did this actually. I bought a new blanket for the couch, like, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I went downstairs and I was getting something out of the basement in a tub. And I opened this tub and it was full of blankets. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize I bought like a couple fall blankets for the couch
Uh-huh.
last year. Because I like to put fall blankets on the couch. I have like two.
Uh-huh.
And now I have three, because I forgot I bought two last year. And so like I even do it.
Oh yeah.
But when you store stuff, you forget you have stuff.
Hmm.
And so then you buy more stuff, and
Hmm.
then you have more stuff, and then you lose money because you can no longer get rid of that at the price and the cost.
Hmm.
And everyone knows that time is money, right? So my time is money. And so really it didn't cost me $30. It cost me whatever hours I had to put in away from my family and away from the things that I like to do. So
Yeah.
really trying to think about it that way too. And when I say these things, it's not because like I'm perfect and I have like a perfect house and I don't do this and you have to be minimal and have an empty house. Minimalism doesn't mean like not decorating. It doesn't mean not having clothes. It means putting intention behind the things that
Mm.
you do get so you can have the things that bring you joy. So I still
Yes.
like to buy clothes and shoes, but
Mhm.
I'm just really picky with the ones I get now because I want them to
Yes.
last. I don't want it to be fast fashion. I want to kind
Hmm.
of invest in items. So you can look at it that way too. But yeah, it doesn't just mean like you can't have a bigger home with lots of things in it. It really comes down to like what fits your lifestyle
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
trying
love
not to
that.
have so much stuff and missing things in the storage bins, because that's not productive either.
Right.
So
Like you said, it
yeah.
just like ends up getting like back in that cycle. Oh, and I love,
Yeah,
and again,
yeah.
like I love that myth of like just because you might be more intentional or mindful or whatever words we want to use, like it doesn't mean you have to set these really strict rules. Like a couple years
Yeah.
ago, I did a big like wardrobe declutter. And
Yeah.
I kind of went through like I'm gonna pick certain colors that I know look really good on my skin. This is before like the whole like palette became cool. Um,
Yes.
but it helps me and my mental load of now when I know when I go to a store, I don't have to look at every single item and like
Mhm.
try it on or is this gonna match something that I have because I really only have like three kind of colors that I wear. And so I know the other items are going to mix and match. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, right? Like that might be
Sure.
extreme
Yeah.
for some people. But for me, I would sit for hours looking through the store. And again, time is money. I was like, is this the best use of my time? Or I would buy something, bring
Hmm.
it home. And I was like, oh, this has nothing to go with. So do I buy something
For sure.
else? Or do I just like have it sit there and I never wear it? So it's just like being mindful and intentional. I love those
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you've got some kiddos. Do they
Yeah.
follow the organizing, decluttering, or how do they handle all this?
My kids, yeah, they're pretty organized kids. I mean, they really are. My teenager, she's almost 18, so I mean, is her room a bomb half the time? Sure. But when she cleans it up, she does a good job.
Yep.
And it's pretty organized. So, I mean, I don't try to like force them to be me, but I also do kind of like burn into their brains the importance of like, hey, this is your space. And if you take care of it or if you don't overfill it, like you can relax in it or whatever, I try to, but they also have the stuff they like too. So, that's important as well. But I will say, I'm kind of the mom who like when my 9-year-old's like, "Eh, this and this and this," and I'm like, okay, let's just take a step back. Out of these three, because you mentioned
Um,
you likes them, let's pick this one to go with like these four.
yeah.
I kind of guide it just because for me, when there's like this pattern and that pattern and this color, it becomes really stressful for myself.
Hmm.
So I think I kind of take that over a little bit and guide them. And I probably should do less of that and let them have more freedom for it. And I mean, they have a lot of, I mean, my 9-year-old, my teenager, she's doing her own thing now, but and she really likes the aesthetic look. She's a teenager. So
Yep.
she does like the look of just clean colors, neutrals, and that's
Hmm.
what I like. But yeah, with the 9-year-old, I probably do overstep sometimes. And I kind of catch myself, and my husband will be like, well, she really likes this. And I'm like, okay. So I'm getting better. But yeah, I think for the most part,
That
they
can
do
be
pretty well.
hard.
And
Yeah.
I'm really adamant about cleaning their spaces every day, though.
Hmm.
Especially for the 9-year-old. The teenager, she has 2 weeks to get it cleaned up
Hmm.
because she's busy. She works, she's at school, she's doing her thing. But the 9-year-old, it's an expectation to make your bed. I think
Hmm.
making the bed is super important. Now, if she misses a day, does the whole world crash down? Absolutely not. I'm like, we didn't make the bed today. But
Right.
yeah, I like the bed to be made. I don't like clothes laying on the floor because if we like our clothes and we want to have nice clothes, then we'll
Mhm.
put them where they go. So yeah, I am like that. And I don't
Yeah.
think everyone's like that, and that's okay. But in our house, yeah, we have a pretty good routine of like these are the expectations for your space, and we have a
Yeah.
place for everything, and everything has a place. So let's put it there. And I help
Exactly.
them too. I don't expect her to do it all herself. So I show her and I teach
Hmm.
her, and maybe one day she'll be a complete slob and live in piles of clothes. I don't know, but not in my house.
Exactly. No, and even like
So,
when you're talking though about like I'm hearing like the grace, right? Like you're not expecting perfection. It's like you're
right.
working with their context of, okay, well, a teenager's busy, so she's gonna have 2 weeks to do some of these things. Okay, the
Hmm.
9-year-old, maybe we have an off day and we're not gonna make our bed. Doesn't mean that
Yeah,
like we're gonna be grounded or something awful is gonna happen. But so like I think like that is very
sure.
like helpful for a lot of people because I think a lot of times when I work with like clients and I'm not working with them on a organizing aspect, obviously more of like mindset stuff, they're very black or
Hmm.
white. So it's like we need to make our bed every day, all day, or else like the world is going to go on fire. And it's like, no, there is a gray. There's expectations we can set, right? Conversations. It sounds like you're really
Hmm.
intentional with like why these things matter, right? Like, oh, we want to put our clothes away because we like our clothes. And if we're going to buy nice clothes, we want to take care of them and make sure
Yeah,
they last. And that's, I think, really helpful for a lot of people instead of just getting stuck in like that rigidness area.
yeah, yeah. And I've definitely had times of rigidness, but that's
Same.
my anxiety taking over. And then me having to say, okay, is this a you problem or is this your kids? It's you, and this is your trigger, and so don't make it theirs. So I have to work on that constantly. Honestly, I do. I have anxieties and triggers.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in a very cluttered home. Lots of
Oh,
clutter, lots of collections, lots of dust. And it
yeah.
wasn't like a filthy, dirty home,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a lot of stuff. So
Yes.
that is a thing for myself. So I have to work on that all the time. So yeah,
Literally sounds like an
totally.
old therapy session I had with my own
Yeah.
therapist. So I was like, oh, I need to like clean all this
Mhm.
and this. And they're like, well, why? And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, therapist, don't therapist me right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like yeah, no, my brain works very similar to yours. So
Yeah.
the other thing that I wanted to ask is what are some like myths around cleaning and decluttering? I feel like we've touched on a couple already of like this needs to be perfect and we need to like just jump in with this all everything, like tackling everything at once. But are there common things that you see in the families that you work with?
Yes, I would say the number one thing is time.
Mm,
Everybody thinks I can clean their entire house in 2 hours. That's what they all think.
hmm,
I'm sorry to my clients that might watch this, but no, for real, a lot of people are aware of like, and they are like, okay, yes, you do, you're the professional. But so many people really like think and have said to me, well, I think you can get it done in a couple hours. Because when I
mm,
clean it, I can get it. But when you clean it, you're not cleaning the things I'm cleaning, or I wouldn't be here. You know what I
right.
mean? I'm not just cleaning your bathroom and, putting a load of laundry in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the baseboards, I'm doing the fans,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the fronts of the dresser. I'm kind of going in and I do an initial deep clean until I
Mm-hmm.
bring a home up to like my maintenance level, my standard. And
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a high standard, I like to think, because I'm very meticulous and I have a
Mm-hmm.
really good eye to see those things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like to bring it up to maintenance level for my standard. And so I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't realize that that's going to take so many hours. And then once
Right.
it's maintenance level, then I can go in and it will maybe only just take a few hours. But yeah,
Right.
time is the biggest myth. And then as far as decluttering, I think, I don't really know. I don't really know. I've done decluttering in different areas. I've done organizing, I've done packing and unpacking and all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I can really think of like any kind of myth or anything, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
time, maybe even time on that end
Yeah.
of people not realizing how much time it has or time it takes. And also, I think people don't know what they've got. They don't know what
Mm.
they have, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that when you start pulling things out, it's a big mess and it takes
Yeah.
a while to kind of get through it. And another thing I think people don't realize is they start to have like feelings for things, and
Yeah.
something might bring up a memory. They could have an emotional attachment. Maybe they wore that pair of shoes during a time in their lives where something happened, or whatever it might be, and that's not wrong, that's
Mm-hmm.
completely normal. But
Yep.
I think that people don't realize that kind of stuff can happen, and then it can really like slow you down or put kind of a stop to what
Right.
progress you want to make. So I don't know if that's really like a myth or anything, but that kind of coincides with that too.
I think
So
that makes a lot of sense. So just yeah, like the because I know I'm even guilty of it where it's like I don't remember, I think I maybe said this in the beginning or whether it was we were chit-chatting, but it's like, oh, I've got some free time and I'm stressed. I'm gonna go like organize a drawer real quick. And then it's like, oh, you take everything out and you realize I
uh-huh.
actually have a lot more that I have to do and I have to find things for this. And then if emotions get brought up, whether it's, maybe some grief or anything coming up, and now my like 15-minute task that I thought is actually going to take maybe like a couple hours, and those things
Yeah.
add up. And I think just like helping
Yes,
people, like one, normalizing that of like, it's okay. And
for
like
sure.
that it's going to take some time. And then like, so if those things come up, it's not like you're doing something wrong or you're bad at this. Like, no, this stuff just takes time.
Yeah, yeah. And another one that kind of came into my head just now too, um I also think a lot of people don't understand, in the service industry, whether it be lawn care, cleaning, organizing, this type of sole proprietor or like business where
Mhm.
it's one person or a small business that um they think like we just take home all the money. And
Mm,
so I think a lot of people don't realize what kind of overhead,
yeah.
whether it be a small amount or a large amount, um, for my business, I know that I don't think a lot of people understand that when I charge this per hour, I actually have to pay the state, I have to pay federal, I have to pay into Social
Mm,
Security, I have to pay my
mhm,
health insurance on my own. I don't have health insurance through a company. I pay for my website, I pay for any materials like gift certificates or materials for new clients, I pay for all
yeah.
my own supplies, laundering my items. I pay all my vehicle repairs and maintenance. It's my
Mhm,
vehicle that I'm getting point A to point B. So there's
mhm.
actually a lot of overhead that I don't think people realize in a
Oh yeah.
business. So when I come in and they think it might be a little too high, and that's okay too, because we all have a budget, right?
Mhm.
So I'm never offended if people are like, that's too much. I'm like,
Right.
that's understandable because
Yep.
it is a lot for some people. And but at the end of the day, I don't get to just take it all home. I do
Oh my
have a lot of
gosh.
things that I pay
Mhm.
for to make the business run. And especially like getting clients, I do that all my own.
Mhm.
I do all my own promoting and then word of mouth through my wonderful, amazing clients. And so, yeah, I have to put myself out there and do all the work to make my
Yeah.
business run. So, I think that might be even just a myth that could be, associated with this as well,
I
with
think I think
goes
that
with
makes
that.
I think that makes total sense. And I mean, I'm a small business as well, and so yeah, I mean, it's so true. Of like, I'm
Yeah.
not taking home my hourly rate. I'm paying a lot
Yes.
of other things, and
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to be the therapist for everyone, right? Like, if someone can't pay my fee, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But my fee is the way it is because I have a lot of expenses to do and I need to do what's best for me and my family. Just like, you've got a
Oh, yeah.
business to run and you have to do what's best for you and your family. And I think, yeah, some
Yeah.
people don't always understand. They're like, oh, well, you're just like getting to pocket all this, right? And
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
no, no, no.
Yeah. And when you do have a little bit of a higher fee compared to others, experience and knowledge go into that
Hmm.
play into that as well. I like to think of myself as somebody who has a lot of experience and a lot of
Hmm.
knowledge and to do like a top-notch job.
Yep.
I do a really great job and I know that
Hmm.
because I've heard it from people and people continue to call and that's not to be like conceited or anything. It's just that when like you have a level of experience, you do have to make sure that, you are being paid for your work as well.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to know that as well. And
Hmm.
when it's just like anybody that gets promoted at a normal job. When you get that experience and you move up, you
Hmm.
get that pay raise, right? It's kind
Yep.
of so that does so when you have to do those things, it's because of those reasons as well. So
Exactly. No, I think that
yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like, yeah, like when you find your clients that just like click with you and then it's like you're able to do your high
Mhm.
standard and your work shows for it.
Yeah.
And so for folks who are interested in the Sioux Falls area, I'm going to post all her info. She's got a great website also. So even if you're not in
Thank
Sioux Falls,
you.
just like go check it out. Yeah, I do my own website. So I always
Me
like to
too.
give shout outs whenever like people do really good websites. Cause again, small business, like we're doing it all. So I'm like, no, if
It's
you have
just me on Canva. I'm
oh,
like,
Canva's
I
my
gotta,
fave.
yeah, I'm like looking up YouTube videos, like, okay, how do I do this?
It's really
So
good. It's really
every
good.
once in a while, little changes get made, and it's like, oh, I learned something new.
No,
So,
literally. So yeah, so
yeah.
folks, if you're in the area, you can see how to work with her. If you're not, still go check out her website. It's still just like a really nice, helpful place. One thing that I always like to ask folks at the end of the podcast is how have you been practicing authenticity lately?
Hmm. I would say, I think, man, that's kind of, I gotta really think for a second. I think just trying to open up in the community more. This is
Hmm.
a year that I've told myself I have to get out in the community more. I have to like this podcast, I have to do things that I wouldn't normally do because when we moved here 3 years ago, I kind of didn't get out anywhere and I was in this little pity party for myself, like I don't know anybody and it's really hard here. And it wasn't because of anybody but myself. So I think just being authentic and like putting myself out there and doing things that are uncomfortable for me, and really like stepping up in my own and making sure like people know who I am and the intentions in my business and just being there for my clients and all those things I think I don't know.
That's
So yeah, I think
awesome. Yeah.
just maybe all those things. So
Yeah, no, it's a definitely something that I can relate to right now too, of, just life and moving and chaos. And so just like
sure.
kind of putting
Yeah.
yourself out there and being authentic for you and your business. And I think, yeah, I think it's showing. So I'm so glad that you took time to
Thank
interact
you.
with me and to come on the
Yeah.
podcast. This has been such a fun chat.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, folks, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and remember that the world needs the real you. So let's explore that authenticity together.